Yo, what is going on YouTube? It's me, Cobra. Today, we're going over my thoughts on the current state of Arc Raiders and some ideas and hopes I have for the future of Arc Raiders. Now, before we jump into the actual gameplay here while I talk over stuff, I do want to say Arc Raiders does have a roadmap out. Now, I haven't really looked at the roadmap too much from what I have seen of it. Apparently later in April, they are going to be having a new map, new large arc, yada yada. And stuff like that I haven't really thought of. Some of my ideas, they just consist of new arc, another map condition, and some other general stuff. Hey, let's get right into the video. Alrighty guys, we are in the match. So, first thing I want to talk about, under my current thoughts are, I think, a pretty big topic in Arc Raiders right now, and that is the free kit situation. Alright, a lot of people think it's crazy strong to just be able to, I mean, not crazy strong, but it's pretty crazy that people can just load in with free kits and leave with a bunch of loot. Right, there is really absolutely no risk to it. And, you know, I have one thing to say. I think it's more of a shitty player base situation for that. I know a lot of people are saying online like that it's Embark's fault for adding them, but I definitely think there should be a limit, especially on the further you go, but more into that on like an idea for later. Do I think it needs to be changed? Yes. Do I also think that Embark intended for people to play in PvP only using free kits? Absolutely not. I think that is crazy to say. Embark can't, you know what their player base is going to do, you know. Yeah, and if y'all don't know what the free kits were originally used for, or meant for, it's, for new players who need to get stuff, or, let's say you just take up all your guns, your augments and whatnot, lose them all in PvP, and you have nothing. They're there for that. They're used for a backup, right? Obviously they aren't as good as actual kits, so they are used, or they were intended for be used as a backup, not an actual primary kit that some people are taking in, you know. And people just have a problem with that for some reason. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, I totally agree. I hate dying to a free kit whenever, you know, bring in an actual kit. You know, I hate dying to free kits whenever I'm actually kitted. You know. But at the same point, I get why they do it. Because it comes a time where you die to free kits so many times, you're like, fuck bringing in actual kits, I'm just going to bring in a free kit, you know? And, yeah, that brings me to the next thing I want to talk about, and that's the player base itself. Right, the player base in a whole. Now, for the most part, I think it's pretty good, right? I don't think the majority of the game hates Embark for the way they're doing things. I think Embark's doing a fine job as is. Alright? I think just a lot of people, by a lot of people, I don't mean the majority or anything, but a good amount of people do complain a lot about literally everything in the game. Right? If it's not to their standard, they're gonna complain. And even if it does meet their standard, they're still gonna complain, right? There's just no making those types of people happy. Yeah, but then I also want to talk about something else, and that is PvP versus the PvE players. Now, I myself am a mix of both, right? Whenever I'm solo, I do PvP, or not PvP, PvE, because that's just what I prefer, but whenever I'm playing with my buddy, he's more of a PvP guy, so, right, we always just play PvP lobbies. Is what it is, you know? And, both sides attack each other a lot. I think, a pretty big argument for PvPers is PvEers are pussies and can't fight, which, to an extent, I feel like is true, I say that as a PvPer. I sure as hell ain't the best, PvPer. Yeah. To an extent, I get that. PvEers' argument are they just want to relax and play the game how they want to play, which, hey, I also get, Sometimes I really don't like going in and losing stuff all the time, but that's just me too, I know I'm not the best at PvP. Yeah, I can spend hours daily PvPing, and the only thing that's going to happen is I'm going to lose shit, And that's just sometimes how it goes. But, one thing I think both sides can agree on, and that is the rat situation. Right, rats are absolutely either PvPers or PvEers. And I say that because, is shooting someone in the back really PvP? Right, if you get down to the nit and gritty, is it really PvP? No, it's not. If you say it is, you're just a fucking rat yourself. Oh, I just got a text from Matt there. Wants me to talk to him. I said no, I'm recording. Yeah, but the rat situation is pretty bad. I know PvPers are pretty tired of rats. I know PvEers are pretty tired of rats. And I honestly have to say, friendly lobbies are under attack by the PvE, or not PvE community, the ratting community. Right. I do have to say, I think typically, roughly out of every 10 games, at least 2 of them are I died of rats. Yo, hello? You there, dude? Can I extract with you? Alright, yeah, see, why can't people just play like that in friendly lobbies? Yeah, anyway, whenever I do PvP, typically it's with my buddy, like I said, alright? I did do a little solo PvP for a while. And man, I gotta say, dude, there was a lot, and I mean a lot more rats. At least, I don't know if I got unlucky, but in solo PvP lobbies, man, I ran into so many rats, dude. It was crazy. Yeah, in duo PvP or trio PvP, I don't see too many rats. But everything else, I mean, yeah, there's a ton of rats, especially in solos. I think solo is where it's worse than everything else. Because, who's going to stop you? I mean, other solos, yeah, but if you're a rat, I feel like most of the time people extract alone. So, it's pretty easy to rat. Especially if they call in the train and then you shoot them. Or you just loot and dip. No one's really gonna stop you. Oh, one thing I do want to go on to before I, get on with my ideas for Arc Raiders. Some update, ideas. Or changes, ideas, whatever you want to call them. And that is, no matter what game you play, there are always going to be the bad bunch of players that just ruin the game for everyone else. Or make the fan base look bad, right? No game's perfect. No gaming community is perfect. Right? It'll never be perfect. Okay? And that's just something, people kind of have to accept. Every game's going to have its flaws. Every gaming community is going to have its bad bunch of people, And that's just, there you go, there's a Mikeless player right there. You know what, let's talk about the Mikeless community before I get on with the other stuff. Not all Mikeless people are bad, okay? When I first started playing the game, I'll be honest, I did not like talking to anyone. For the most part, it was fine. But you always had the couple people that always just killed you because you weren't talking to them, which, sucked, but it is what it is, I just want to say, Not all, mic-less people are bad. Some are bad. Some are bad, don't get me wrong, some are bad. And I totally understand shooting them. But not all the mic people, or people who don't have mics, are bad. Alright, anyway, let's get on with some ideas. So, the first one I want to talk about is my idea for the free kits. Alright, talked about the free kits in the beginning. We're going to talk about them now. Alright, so, from what I read in my notes, basically, what I was thinking is once you hit a certain level, right, in my notes, I just, wrote down a quick example of, like, level 10 plus, 10 and up. You start getting a free kit limit, right? And then that limit I just put down was 10 limits daily. Right now, let's say if we do implement that level, like, 10 is still a pretty low number, right? You can get 10 pretty quickly on. So maybe, like, starting at 10 and then you go to, like, level 20. No, I just have a weird feeling about that guy. Anyway, like I was saying, it doesn't have to be all at once for the free kit limits, right? Anyway, as I was saying before I got rudely interrupted, right, it doesn't have to, the limits don't have to start all at once, right? Level 10 is still a fairly low level, right? So maybe once you hit level 10, you get like, you start your limit out at like 20 or 30, free kits daily. Right, I still feel like that is a lot for level 10. You probably don't need that many, but, it's just, I don't know, it's just coming off the top of my head, right? Then once you hit, like, I don't know, level 30 or something like that, you start getting the limits heavier. Could be like 15 free kits limit a day, And then, like, once you get max level, right, which I think I'm max level currently at 75. I haven't leveled up in a while, that's why I'm saying that. I don't know if 75 is the max level. I could go look it up real quick. Yeah, it is 75. So, once you hit max level, or like, let's say level 70 plus, you maybe move on to like a limit of 5 daily, or, something like that, right? Something that when people get to a point, they can't just constantly take free kits out, right? Or maybe have it to where it is, right? I don't have this one in my notes, but I just thought of it. Have a stash value limit. So my stash value is currently, like a little over 1 million. So I'm thinking maybe once you hit, a certain point, once you hit a certain stash value limit, I don't know what a good number would be, but once you hit a certain stash value, that's when you start getting the free kit limits, right? And it could be a mix of both. Like, once you hit, I don't know, let's just say level 30 plus, right? The stash value, or stash limits start. And then every, I don't know, 250,000 value in your stash, you get, a decreased amount of free kits, So, like, maybe if you're max level with 1 million plus stash value, you get hit with a limit of, like, 5 free kits daily. I don't know. It's just a random number, Yeah, let's just say level 30 plus has a limit of 20 free kits daily. Right, and then every 250,000, you lose, I don't know, or I have a better idea. Every 100,000 value, you lose 1 free kit. Right, and it goes up to 1 million. Right, and that could be a max, or a minimum limit of 10 free kits daily. I feel like the average rat who abuses free kits runs more than 10 matches daily with free kits, I do think that could be a great update, right? Or something like that. I hope I explained that well. With everything going on, I honestly don't know if I explained it too well. I'll listen to it in post-editing. I'll listen to it in editing, and then I'll decide. If not, I'll do a quick explanation of what I was trying to get through. I think that's fair. I'll try and do a quick explanation of what I was trying to say. Anyway, now that we've got this done, I'm going to go ahead and sort the inventory out real quick, and then I will get on with the idea section of this, or the rest of the idea. The cool ideas, not just what to do about the free kit situation. Alrighty guys, now let's get right into the ideas. And I'm going to save the best idea for last, okay? Or in my opinion, the best idea. And I think how I am going to start this off with is the light stuff first. So, the first thing I think is, well, an idea I have is arc locations. Now that is, what I mean by that is, keep different arcs in different maps, right? I know recently with the Flashpoint update, the Shredder got released to different maps. I don't like that. Not for the fact that the Shredder's hard to kill, but it gave Stella Montez uniqueness, right? I mean, it's still unique, don't get me wrong. It's still heavy PvP and close quarters, underground type vibe, you know? But it took away Stella Montez's unique feeling of kind of a small map, right, vibe. Right, and if you needed, I don't know what was going on there. Well, someone's got to go for the bodies, right? What happened over here? I don't got a defib, I'm sorry to tell you, but what happened?
He killed me, bro, and then he fucking died to the arc, bro.
Damn. Yeah, let me see if he has a defib for some reason. He killed the other guy. He did not have a defib, I'm sorry, dude. The guy with the level 4 anvil tried PvP. I mean, I guess it kind of believable. I don't know who I should believe, though. Let's get the hell out of here. I completely lost track of what I was saying. Alright, I was on something about arc locations in Stella Montez. That's all I know. I think my point was starting to go fuzzy, though, once that shit started going down. Still unique because it's still really the only underground feel in the map. But yeah, so I just had a vibe, you know. It was also the only place you could find Shredder before, meaning, you know, with it being like player projects and stuff, maybe Crafting 2. I know something you needed Shredder gyros for, though. Right, and there was risk going into Stella Montez for that, you know. Different maps, different loot, different arc. I think that's how it should be. Right, I feel like that's how you keep the game kinda fresh for people. Right, if you just go on the same map every time, and you can get everything off the map, where's the challenge in that, you know? Anyway, I hope I got my point through with that. I don't know if I did very well or not. The next thing I want to talk about is key cards. Specifically, a new variant, gold variant. Now, these will actually come back to, right? I just think gold variants are a wonderful idea. And I have an idea on how to get them too, which we'll get back to in a bit. The next two things I want to talk about go together because they are weapon mods. Alright, so Anvil has the Anvil Splitter. The next one I want to talk about is something called, a rough name for it, detached scope. It's for the Osprey. Pretty self-explanatory. Just detaches the scope for the Osprey and makes it act like the Pharaoh. In a way, you know? The next one I want to talk about is a mod called Auto Shot. Again, just a rough name for it. Basically all it is, caught myself on fire. Basically what it is for the Appraisio, I think that's how you say it, for this gun right here. And Auto Shot, pretty also self-explanatory. As I was saying, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just full auto for the Appraisio, which I think would be pretty crazy. I already know the Appraisio is already a half decent gun. It's okay. It's an okay gun as is, but I think full auto could make this gun a whole lot better. I already think it's underappreciated. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I use it a whole bunch either. I don't. But from the few people that have killed me with it, it's been pretty quickly they've killed me with it, you know? So I think full auto for the Appraisio would be pretty insane. Now, the new thing I want to talk about, new arc specifically, that's where we're going with this. New arc I want to talk about, pretty good ideas. One of them, I'm sure it's a pretty common idea already. I just haven't seen anything on it. We'll get to that in a minute though. First arc I want to talk about, we will get into in the next game. Alrighty guys, we are in a match. Now, I was looking at the notes again. Forgot one thing, kind of exciting though. So, and that is a new trader. Now, a new name for this trader, new name, but a name for this trader, rough name is Ray, right? I don't know, just, was thinking of a random name that came to mind. Basically, what Ray would be doing is selling advanced materials. So, kind of how, like, Celeste, sells materials now, right? You got the raw materials, then you have some other stuff, too. Kind of how, like, Celeste has the basic materials. Ray would have more advanced materials, harder to get. So I'm thinking Ray could have like a kind of a rotating shop. Right, so one day he could sell, I don't know. I wouldn't want him to have as big a selection as Celeste, right? Obviously because, rotation. So maybe one day he could have like advanced mechanical components, advanced electrical components, some complex gun parts, maybe a queen reactor, yada yada. I have limits on all of them, of course, right? But then the next day he could have, I don't know, matriarch core, Exodus parts, just stuff like that, right? Switches up on occasion, or switches up daily. Yeah. And then you pay him, right? You can pay him basically with anything. The price is different each time, so like maybe for some parts you'll want seeds like Celeste, or money like any other trader, or here's where he gets unique. You can actually trade him certain parts for other parts. So like a rough example of this could be Exodus modules or complex gun parts for, let's say like one of those for like 2 or 3. I'm friendly too. Whipping out your weapon, dude. You ain't friendly. Why you whipping out your weapon, dude? That's crazy talk. Who says they're friendly while whipping out a weapon? Like, how? I don't know, dude. A little weird. Anyway, as I was saying, you could trade him like 1 or 2 purple parts for, you know, like 4 to 6 blue parts, right? So, I think the example I was just trying to say is, you know, let's say 1 complex gun part for, let's say, 3 advanced mechanical components. I think that's a fair trade. Roughly a fair trade. I don't know. I'm sure it'd have to be getting tweaked, you know. Everything has to get tweaked. But that's just a kind of a rough idea. Yeah. Tell me what you guys think of that Ray Trader. I think he's actually a pretty half-decent idea, you know? On to the next thing. Right, now we are going to get onto the new arc. Alright. The first arc, a rough name for, is the Scrapper. Or just Scrapper, you know? Basically what it does is it harvests raw materials. Alright, so we're talking like metal, oil, cloth, stuff like that.
What's up, man?
What's up, dude? Right, so it just harvests kind of that stuff you can't craft. Now, you might be able to craft oil, but I'm not too sure. I don't know what you can craft in the refinery and what you can't craft. But, you know, that's just kind of the premise of it. It collects the raw materials, so you can, once you kill it, you can then craft other stuff with it. And, it's neutral, right? The aggression is neutral. The design I kind of had for it, I don't have like any actual like solid designs, but basically what I was thinking is kind of medium-sized, kind of like the Comet. Well, so maybe not medium-sized, but kind of like a smaller arc that rolls around in its neutral form. But let's say you go to attack it or kill it, right? Or you get too close to it, right? It'll transform into kind of like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an animal to compare it to, but I can't think of any animal off the top of my head. So it transformed into like some little robot with, you know, like legs, some guns too. I was thinking, you know, just machine guns, kind of like the Wasp. And yeah, and obviously the inside, you know, would be its weak point. On the outside, it'd be heavily armored. I'm thinking maybe enough armor to tank a deadline. So if you want to kill it relatively easily, you kind of have to fight it, you know? Fuck you. You're not getting out with your shit. What a weirdo, you know? See what I'm talking about, dude? 3 games, or I think that was my 4th game, actually. 1 goddamn rat. Golly, man. I hate them rats, dude. I hate them. Oh, man. Anyway, as I was saying, I hate rats, dude. I absolutely despise rats. As I was saying, the idea I had for him was, you know... Actually, I think I already got my ideas out for him. Yeah, let's get right into the next game. Alrighty, we are in a fresh raid. And, you know, to continue on with the new arc, right? The next arc would be called The Walker, right? And,
This is
You know, when I wrote this 2 days ago, right, these notes 2 days ago, I didn't really think about it too hard. But now that I've, taken some time to think about it, the walker, in my mind, it's basically an identical replica to I believe it's called the AT-ST from Star Wars. This is an exact copy of it. Did I plan for it? No. But something like that, two legs and then a head. Thinking maybe some machine guns on it, a missile, and if you got too close to it, it'd release some sort of like fire or steam or something that damaged you. So you can't just like stay under it, now that I'm, actually thinking about it and saying it, I honestly don't think they could do it. Right? I feel like it'd be too similar to Star Wars in a way. Unless they, like, really switched up to the design, but did I, plan for that? No. I was just thinking of, some sort of arc that could be cool looking. Didn't even think about it being similar to Star Wars in a way. Anyway, let's go on to the next page here. Or the previous page. The new arc. I have 2 new arc, alright? Before we get onto the one map condition I have, which, trust me, you guys want to stick around for the map condition. One new arc is called the Handler. Now this one, actually hold on. We'll start off with the Mimic, okay? We'll start off with the less cool one, in my opinion. The Mimic, right? I'm sure that's probably a popular concept. I haven't seen anything on it yet, but then again, I'm also not too knowledgeable on what the community thoughts for new arc is. Right, Mimic, my version of the Mimic is, it looks like a raider, right? So my character right here, it'd look just like it, right? Any skin, any outfit the Mimic can use or load into with, right? An exact replica of a raider. The one thing it uses is the chat wheel, right? This thing uses that. It can do anything from there. And it can actually kind of respond to raiders, right? It obviously won't talk in game chat or something, but it can use a chat wheel. So if like a raider says, like, hey, are you friendly? The Mimic might go like, don't shoot, or, the greet feature. I don't know. But it can loosely recognize player voices to an extent. Let's get those arc out of here. And, the next thing I was thinking for the Mimic is, how can you just, how do you know if it's a Mimic or a Raider, right? Obviously, with this, it'd push more talking in-game, kinda. But another thing I was thinking, right, a feature a lot of players use in Rust to, check if their teammates are their teammates. Right, that was, that was before the, remote invite to team feature, but jump checks, right? Obviously you can jump. Now, the Mimic could also jump, but what I was thinking is, it can't jump, right? Obviously, with it being an arc and all, it's made of metal and stuff, probably weighs a good bit, So maybe a feature of the Mimic could be, it can't jump. And that's one way you could tell the difference, I think that, is a fair way to tell the difference. Doing a good old jump check. I don't find anything wrong with that. I think that'd be a great way for the people to communicate with each other. Now, I know what you're thinking. How does a Mimic attack? Does it, just attack like a normal person? Does it, what does it do, right? You told us the design. Told us how to tell it apart. What does it do? Right, so obviously, I'm thinking it runs free kits, right? As ratty as that sounds, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it can run like a max of random green kits, right? But I'm just thinking free kits, or maybe not even, or like the equivalent of a free kit. But like the augment is something we raiders can't use, so like they don't get a free augment from it, but they'll get a random gun from the free kit selection. And basically how it attacks is, it's neutral. Well, not neutral. I don't know what the right word for it is. It'd be aggressive, right? But it only attack you if you're looking away and like looting something, right? It's not just going to straight up attack you. That was my thoughts on it. Right? It'll wait until your back's turned and it's looting. Basically, just like a rat, you know? It'll behave just like a rat. Right? Won't attack, won't do anything until your back is turned to it. Then it'll shoot you in the back. What do you get for killing it? Well, obviously you get some parts. Probably, I don't know. Depends on how, like, the movement would work. I don't know how Embark would ever design something like this. I'm thinking if it acts like a player, maybe, I don't know, if they could train the AI, or, like, have the AI difficulty settings, so, like, on friendlier lobbies, alright, that scared me, but like, on friendlier lobbies, it wasn't as hard to kill as, like, you know, PvP lobbies that play just like the PvP players, right? Where they just roll a whole bunch, you know, shoot, roll, kind of like that. With that being said, I think one way to also, I think would also be cool is if it had infinite stamina. Right, obviously, with our raiders, we do have a stamina bar, but so we can't roll forever, but these things could. Right, and that could justify the loot. So maybe not have a difficulty setting on the things for, like, lobbies and whatnot, but make them fairly hard to kill. Right, make them close quarters enemies. Something like that. Right? They could drop, like, advanced mechanical components, some electrical components, too. Stuff like that. You can get a gun from them. Let's not say a guaranteed chance at a gun. But, like, you can potentially get a gun, you know, from it. I think that could be pretty cool. Oh, it can open doors. Yeah, well, I think I actually forgot to say. Yeah, so the scrapper I mentioned earlier, it can also open doors. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Well, what else did I forget to mention on this thing? Yeah, no, it's just, it can open doors. Right, the Mimic can open doors. Obviously, it's a Raider copy, right? Mimic of a Raider. Why couldn't it open doors? The next arc, I'm actually really happy with. I honestly don't think this one could be a concept of anyone's, you know? But it's called the Handler. Now, again, that's just a rough name for it. It's a passive mob. Well, passive mob. It's passive. Unless it is with other arc, to which then it'll attack with said arc. It is a kind of a support unit for the arc. It opens doors for arcs. So I was thinking maybe this handler, right, could maybe stick with stuff like shredders or something like that, you know. It'd be good for like fireballs here. You see the one right here? If I go behind a door and shut it, it can't get through. But the handler, I'm thinking it has the ability to open doors. It has the ability to take down barricades, open locked doors, like the barricaded doors, you know? I think that could be a pretty cool idea, right? It sticks with other arc, opens doors, whatnot, you know? Its attack is essentially that of a Tyx, right? It'll jump onto your head. Well, I'm thinking jumping onto your neck area, right? And then it has a claw on the back, like a big-ass tail with a claw on it, right? That's how it opens doors and shit. That's how it opens kind of like doors and stuff. And then it'll attach to your face and you have to rip it off. So kind of like a tick, but it can open doors and it likes to stick with other arc. Well, apparently, one of my ideas did not get on here, somehow, and that was kinda, I don't really have a name for it, but an arc that, well, a rough name for it could be the repairer, right? It repairs other arc. So, like, let's say you're fighting a shredder, right? And you get it low, you get it blazing, and then all of a sudden a repairer robot comes in. Right, it's small, kind of like a tick, and the handler would be, but it jumps onto the robots, Or another name for it could be the welder, right? And it repairs the robots, basically. Not fast or anything, but it does repair them. And it can attack similar to a fireball, almost. It's extremely weak, and it will stay passive unless attached to another arc. Which then, if you get too close to it, or once it's done repairing, it'll shoot fire at you. I think that's a pretty cool concept, too. I don't know why I don't have it down, but it was in the back of my mind. Now, this new map condition. This is the one I'm actually really excited for. And this is where the gold key cards come into play. So, I'm thinking it's kind of called, rough name for it's off the logs. Essentially what it is the only hatch is, well, let's go with the locations and whatnot. Any map, any time, any weather condition. Right, that's kind of how I'm thinking it works. Alright, so the way I was thinking, right, I said the weather. You pay 10,000 coins to get in, and the reason for that is it's kind of an advanced raid, to say. Right, advanced raid. Obviously, it's for higher tier players. And they'd fix the rat situation, because no free kits are allowed. The only kits allowed in are that of 0 coin value, or 0 money value, so an empty inventory, pickaxe only, or inventories of 25,000 or higher. Right, no in between, it's just one of those two. 25k or higher, or absolutely 0. I think I mentioned the only Raider hatch exit, so you have to bring in a Raider hatch key, obviously, if you want to escape. Everyone does. Right, because obviously it's going to be in your safe pocket. I said the kit values. It costs 10k coins to enter too. I don't know if I mentioned that already. And my thought was, it's off the logs. Obviously, you're not taking a elevator there or elevator out, right? It's off the logs. Meaning, I was thinking, I think I mentioned all the points I wanted to mention though. On that cost 10k because I'm thinking, you know, some sort of raider organization has to bring you in back, right? It's off the log, so the normal people who bring you back to Speranza once you get knocked out aren't going to be there. So it costs them 5k to ship you there, right, to whatever map it's on. It costs you 5k to get you out safely, well, just to get you out in general, right? In case you do get knocked. The loot value on this thing, I'm thinking, is 3 times. I know that's kind of crazy, but I'm thinking 3 times the loot value, so like really good, really high stakes, right? You want other people's stuff, too. And that's where the gold key card comes in, that I mentioned all the way at the beginning of this idea section. This off the logs map condition is the only place you can get this key card, right? The only place you can get golden key cards. Golden key cards being best tier for key cards. I want them to have actually really good loot inside of them. I want them to be a rare chance of finding in these map conditions. Another thing, right? These this map condition off the logs, it'd work really well with the arc locations. And my thought for it is, this map condition only pops up like a couple times a day, right? There isn't any countdown for it, it just randomly pops up. And my thought is, it's not even on a set map, right? It's on some other thing. It'll randomly pop up, right? Rare. Only a couple times a day. You don't know what map you're getting, you don't know what time you're getting, you don't know the weather condition. And my thoughts are, it could be, maybe you load in to it, right? You get maybe Spaceport Electromagnetic, right? Right, that could be interesting. I think it'd work really well once we get more weather conditions in, too. Or, you know, you could load in, I don't know, in hurricane mode, or with a cold snap active. You know, something like that. You don't know the weather, you don't know what map, you're just loading in with a kit, and hope for the best, right? Hope for some good loot. And that was my thoughts on it. That was the map, or the idea I am most proud of. I like that, you know. I totally think that is a wonderful idea. You know, it could be somewhere. Let me switch over to the mouse. It could, I don't know, be somewhere down here, let's say. Right, and that's off the logs. Off the logs expedition. You load in, you get one of the maps available. Obviously, at the end of April, they are coming out with a new map. Right, and they will be adding new maps eventually, too. Different weather conditions, all that stuff. Yeah, I think that's a pretty cool idea. If you guys have made it this far, though, let me know what you think about that off-the-grid idea. I think I got over everything I want to for that map condition. I think I got every point I was trying to make on here. I'm not too sure. I hope I didn't forget anything. I hope this video turns out alright for editing. There was some stuff going on, right? Got distracted a little. I think I got all my points made, though. Anyway, if you guys are interested, check out my Twitch. Yeah, check out my Twitch, check out my socials. I'll put my Twitch somewhere, on the screen. My socials will be down below in the description. And if you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button. Comment your favorite idea, from the list. And if you want, subscribe. Yeah, I'd much appreciate it. I am trying to eventually do content creation full-time because that is kind of like my dream, right? I've always wanted to be a content creator, right? Make people's days, stuff like that. Yeah. Hey. But yeah, thank y'all for watching the video. I hope y'all enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time.